We're back with Chad Sperry and the Mountain Hood Cycling Classic. And Chad, I wanted to ask you before that last break here, I wanted to ask you about the Stage 4 Wind Bomb.
Yeah, that is the legendary stage. In fact, it's kind of the defining stage that makes the Mountain Cycling Classic so incredibly unique and special. We've heard from all the different pros and pro teams and so forth from around the country, and they say there's nothing like this time trial as far as time trials go. And again, the time trial is that rider going against the clock solo by himself. We wanted to make a very challenging time trial for this particular event because the whole nature of this event is it's one of the toughest professional cycling events in the country. And so we thought the best way to do that would be to start them in the Dalles and have them go against the prevailing winds all the way to Hood River. It's about an 18.5, 19-mile time trial, which for individual time trials goes is fairly long distance for a rider to go solo by himself. Has a fair amount of elevation in there, but more importantly, traditionally they're bucking about a 20 to 30 mile an hour headwind. That time of the year, it's constantly blowing. It was rather interesting. This last year, we had the fortune of having one of the former national time trial champions, one of the top time trialists in the country, and former national champion. His name was Chris Baldwin, and he did the race and he did that time trial. He said it was one of the most demoralizing things that he had ever done when he had to pedal so hard to go downhill because the wind was just gale force and pushing on him. So,
do they know about the kinds of winds if they haven't been here before? Do they know they're going to be, bucking that kind of wind?
They know that they know the mystique. They know that this is the Columbia River Gorge, but until you really can be engulfed in it and you're getting blown in the face at, basically for them, if they're averaging 20 miles an hour and it's a 30 mile an hour wind, that's a 50 mile an hour basically wind impact that they're experiencing and feeling. And so that's something that's very unique, as is the swirling of the wind. They'll be riding really hard into a headwind, all of a sudden they'll get knocked from the side, this side, that side, from all these swirling winds and so forth. But it just helps add to the mystique and the challenge and really truly make it an epic event that draws that interest and sets it apart from a number of other cycling events across the country.
Yeah. Well, and this event is also very community focused in the sense that, on your website you guys mentioned the importance of involving the youth, and we talked about that a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. But talk about that. Tell us a bit about that. As far as the community involvement and the benefits.
Yeah, the community. I can't speak enough about the community in the Columbia River Gorge here. They've just been tremendous. And honestly, when you see a huge professional event on the U.S. Pro Circuit, the type of community that it takes to support them because of volunteers and financial and corporate dollars, it's huge. You're looking at usually communities of 100,000 people or larger. You don't find them based out of a little town of 6,000 people in the Columbia River Gorge. But we have some very progressive partners that help us. Everybody from Indy Hops, our title sponsor, to Full Sail and Gorge Delights and a number of these local establishments. We don't have any major corporate sponsors. This is all a homegrown, from the sponsors to the stages to the crew that actually runs this. It's all a local crew. In fact, this crew that is behind the Mountain Hood Cycling Classic has developed such an amazing reputation that we now actually travel throughout the country and do other professional cycling events and put them on in these other particular areas. So it's really been a truly homegrown community type based event, and the community's just come out in droves to see it, to support it, and that's what's made it such a special thing. The other thing is the community is so welcoming and such an amazing host that these riders, half of them come not because of the huge media or because there are other races that have larger prize purses, but this is one of the most amazing communities and places to hang out. Mm-hmm. We call it the Racers Race. They thoroughly enjoy coming and doing it because Hood River and the Columbia River Gorge is such a beautiful locale, and the courses are so magnificent that it's a joy. It's not like they're punching in the clock kind of thing. Right.
Well, it's got to be very unique just in the sense that it is pretty much a grassroots, homegrown kind of. This kind of an event that's all local, basically putting it on, mm-hmm. is got to be unique in the sport.
Very unique. Yes.
Now, the spectators, because you do welcome them, mm-hmm. and they obviously would want to see this, where and how do they get involved? There's your website,
yes.
which obviously we'll put up, but
mm-hmm.
is that the best place, and what can they expect?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a special segment on our website that they can go and find the best places to go and watch and cheer the athletes on. We also will be doing a number of press releases through the the local newspapers and radio stations and so forth as we get closer to the event. And one of the stages and the opportunities that we find is a tremendous opportunity for the spectators to come out is for the downtown Hood River Criterium on June 6th. It's one of the most technical criterium courses, and when I mean criterium, I'm talking a very short circuit of anywhere from a little over half a mile to a mile and a half in length is kind of the general length on that. Generally, they're running through city streets, and these guys are just bombing. I mean, it's just 35, 40 miles an hour, and it's super tight corners and turns. The one in Hood River's got some really screwy corners and so forth. We always have a few wrecks and stuff in there, and so it's kind of like the NASCAR of bicycle racing.
Yeah.
But it's great because the athletes are coming through so frequently and so fast. It gives the spectators a great opportunity. Generally, the criterium events last anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour plus, and so it gives them a chance to see these folks coming through. We've got an announcer there to kind of talk through the race, plus it's our big, huge finale for the entire week's worth of racing. So we'll do our big podium awards presentation. We've got a huge event expo with a number of vendors and so forth. So it's a great opportunity for the for the spectators to come down and watch these literally Olympic caliber athletes in downtown Hood River.
Right. Yeah. I've actually personally had the privilege of watching, and it's a party atmosphere, and everybody's into it and excited, and it's a lot of fun. So, what do you think, in closing here, what do you think the future of the Mount Hood Cycling Classic is? Where do you see it going?
That's a really good question. Well, one thing we're doing this year is we're actually going into the state of Washington. For the first time in the 8-year history of the event, we're going to be actually going up in and around Trout Lake. There's some beautiful Forest Service roads and beautiful country up there. Again, trying to expand the amount of spotlight that we're showcasing the gorge. The other thing is Portland has been very jealous that there's this massive professional event in this little town out in the Columbia River Gorge, and essentially they have no pro event, and they have never had a professional sanctioned event in Portland. So
really?
We were encouraged to go down there and give them a glimpse of it. It's still embodied, the bulk of the event is still based in and around Hood River and the Columbia River Gorge, but it makes for a great opportunity to kind of launch the event, especially because everybody's flying into Portland International Airport. They can get their rental cars, they can get situated, and then so we'll do a stage or two there. Also draw more of that Portland crowd to come out to the gorge and spectate, watch, hang out. There's a million different wonderful eateries and restaurants and so forth, and just have a great time. And we have our Tour to Hood recreational ride that also goes along with the professional events. So if some of these recreational riders that want to experience some of the toughest stages in the professional circuit, we give them an opportunity with full support, food, mechanics, and everything like that, and they can take a crack at it.
Love it. All right. Well, Chad, thank you so much. Really appreciate you letting us know, and our viewers, about what the Mount Hood Cycling Classic is really all about. It's exciting stuff, so definitely going to look forward to it. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us on Localite. We will see you next time, and remember, localite.com for any of the information that we've discussed today. We'll see you next time. John Compton here saying thanks again for watching. And remember, if you've got a guest idea, let us know. Just visit localite.com.